Hi everyone, my name is Nate Sheets with Organ Behavior Consultation, and in this video we're going to be talking about skills 8 through 14 on the new Organ Behavior Consultation cognitive skills list. In the first video of the series, we talked about skills 1 through 7, which are the first half of the executive functioning skills featured on the skills list. If you haven't already seen it, I encourage you to watch that video either now or after you're done with this one. It really doesn't matter what order you watch the videos in. Skill number 8 is the first skill on the list that has to do with planning. And planning is a really complicated cognitive skill that kind of takes various different forms. And many people with developmental conditions such as FASD and other developmental disabilities that you might be working with will struggle with planning. And that's going to have a significant impact on their behavior. So skill number 8 is asking you to assess how the person does at creating a plan that makes sense, so a logical plan, without writing it down and then sticking to it. Now, we're all actually doing this kind of planning a lot of our days. Whenever something comes up, we make an adjustment of our behavior or what we were planning to do. Maybe different tasks come up and we have to do a different kind of priority and move on differently than we were intending to. Sometimes we can be so efficient at adjusting our plans, we don't even realize that we did it. It's just a natural way that we adapt our behavior. For people with FASD and other developmental conditions, this is hard to do, especially without any kind of external support, because that means that all of this thought has to happen abstractly, abstract thinking, which we're going to talk about through several of these skills. So when we talk about creating a logical plan, that can be in the context of us asking them to do so. It also can be in the context of they are in a situation and in order to proceed and make a good choice, they need to make some kind of plan. If they struggle with doing this, they might make choices that don't make any sense or that even seem like negative intentional choices, but what's really going on is difficulty in planning, especially if that planning has to happen very, very quickly. So supports that we can put into place include allowing the person to have visuals and giving them access to those visuals. Visuals can help the person manipulate the information easier. Some systems, such as iPads or even paper-based systems, can even let the person manipulate the plan that they want to do. So these plans can include concepts like what we're going to do today or how do I want to meet this goal that I have for myself. We also, as caregivers, want to be aware of how often we are expecting a person to make a plan, and that's not necessarily something that's obvious. One of the things that we as caregivers can really try to be aware of is how often we're placing the cognitive demand of planning on the person that we're supporting. Whenever something doesn't go according to plan or to the person's internal plan in their head, then they might have an emotional reaction unless we can tell them exactly what they can expect now. And by telling them what they can expect, we are helping their brain to plan. If we don't tell or show them what to expect and essentially put all the effort on their brain, then they might have some kind of behavior out of frustration or anxiety. Skill number 9 also has to do with abstract thought as well as other skills like flexibility. What we're asking you is how the person is able to consider several solutions to their current problem and not just go with the first thing that comes to mind. Remember, if you struggle with planning, then it takes a lot of effort to do so. So some people, after coming up with just a quick, not very well thought out plan of action, are just going to go with it because the effort to think about other solutions is really, really difficult. We can provide cognitive support for this skill by giving them more time to think, as well as visualizing different scenarios. We can also help them work out the problem instead of expecting them to do it all on their own. Skill number 10 addresses abstract thought in the form of thinking hypothetically. If I ask you to think about what you're probably going to be doing during the holiday season, your brain starts visualizing different situations or activities that you might be doing. This is a part of abstract thought. When we ask somebody to think about what they should do with their behavior the next time they're in a certain situation, it's kind of the same thing. We're expecting their brain to generate the situation to a level where they can manipulate what's going on and try out different scenarios. This takes a lot of effort. People who struggle with this skill might need longer amounts of time to think, or maybe need all of the situations that they're talking or thinking about visualized for them. Skill number 11 has to do with impulse control. And with this skill, you're asking yourself how the person that you're supporting is at thinking about what they're doing before they do it. Poor impulse control can lead to a lot of different challenging situations for people with FASD and other situations. Some behaviors look intentional when really it was the result of the brain not really processing and thinking about the situation well enough before the body moved to think. This means that you might have situations where a person is seeming to lie to you, but they're not actually lying. There's a brain thing going on, and your interpretation guides the way that you intervene. If you think somebody's lying to you, then you're going to be more defensive. And if you think that a cognitive skill issue, such as impulse control, is going on, then you're going to think in terms of how you need to respond to support the person. A frequent behavior for people with FASD is what appears to be stealing behaviors. This doesn't mean that intentional, thought-out stealing doesn't happen. It does, but sometimes things are just grabbed without really thinking of it. And some of my clients amass these collections of household items each night because they just constantly are going around taking things that either appeal to them or that they don't really even think about, maybe they're interested in. One of the most efficient supports for impulsive behavior, which is supervision, is also kind of the most restrictive. Yes, you can supervise somebody all of the time to try to help them avoid impulsive behaviors, but who wants to do that? And who wants to have somebody with them constantly? If the impulsive behaviors are leading to issues like stealing, we can lock up the things that we don't want to be taken. There's also other things that we can do to help the person think about their behavior a little bit better in the moment, but those are long-term solutions. And very closely related to impulsivity is skill number 12 on the skills list. That is, thinking before responding to a question. If somebody struggles with impulsivity, then it makes sense that if we ask them a question, instead of really thinking about the answer to our question, they might just give us an immediate answer that's not well thought out. In many situations, when we're asking a question and their answer is giving us accurate or inaccurate information, this impulsivity can lead to inaccurate information. And that can be really easy to interpret as, this person's lying to me. But again, impulsivity is not intentional lying. It's that the person's brain is not practiced enough to stop what they're doing and think about what they're saying or what the situation calls for, and then adjusting their behavior or response accordingly. One of the suggestions I give for helping somebody not answer questions impulsively is saying something like, I don't want you to answer my question right away, just think about it, and then you ask your question. This invites them to think about an answer when they are essentially living in a world that demands immediate answers from them. So it might take them time to actually allow themselves to really think about it. If someone's being oppositional with me, I might have to find a way to more subtly get them to think. For example, I might say something like, when I get back from changing the laundry, let's talk about what happened at school today. Or something like that. So that way that I'm not telling them that they need to think, but rather I'm saying what I need to do, and they're gonna have some free time as I'm doing what I'm doing to stop and think about what I just told them. We can also provide support in this area by having them write us things. So if we text somebody and they read it on their phone, there's no immediate pressure to answer right away. They can just take their time to think about it and text you back the answer once they've thought of the response they want to give you. Skill number 13 is asking you how the person that you support does when the plan or the routine has to change. When the plan or routine has to change, we've already discussed, we immediately put a cognitive demand on the person because they have to adapt and figure out what this change of plans means for them. If they struggle with planning, then they might not be able to adapt very well, in which case they would get a lower score on this part of the assessment. Skill number 14 is essentially an extension of skill number 13. So some people, upon learning that the plan is going to change, will have an immediate emotional reaction. That's going to be reflected in skill number 13. But once we're able to explain to them why the plan had to change and essentially provide cognitive support about abstract thinking and planning for them, then they were going to calm down and understand that, yeah, this makes sense, the plan has to change. We can also reassure them by telling them what we expect of them or what they should be practically expecting to be different. Some people, once it's been explained, still struggle with changing that plan or the routine, and so they might get a lower score for skill number 14. Thank you for watching the second video in our cognitive skills series. We hope that it was helpful for you. If you found this video helpful or know somebody who might benefit from it, we ask that you please share it. Shares from our users dramatically help increase the number of people that these videos go to, and we're very, very thankful to all of you who like, comment, and share on our content. In the next video of the series, we're going to be talking about communication skills and how they can have an impact on a person's behaviors. Thanks for watching.